Okay, so in chapter 1 you learned about XY coordinate values, absolute values from the origin, and also relative values with relation to the current location. You also looked at polar coordinates, which you would give a distance and less than some angle. So those are all really important fundamentals to understand, but in AutoCAD we really don't draw features that way. We don't create geometry all the time using x comma y or at some distance, less than some angle. A lot of times it's a lot easier than that, so I want to demonstrate that to you with this video. I've got this simple part from the chapter 1 exercises at the end of the chapter. I've pasted a copy of a picture of that part into my AutoCAD drawing just so that you can see what I'm working on and follow along with me as I go. But I'm looking at this part and I'm going to have to make a decision on where I want to start, and I base that decision on how is it going to be easiest for me to complete. Most of the time I'm looking at angles, so I want to try to reduce having to calculate some complicated angles. So if I start right at the bottom of this angled line and work my way around clockwise, when I work back to this point here, all I have to do is close back on my starting point. So I don't have to calculate that angle or figure anything tricky out here. This isn't really hard to do, but why do anything if you don't have to, right? So I'm going to start drawing this, and I'm going to pick my line tool, and I'm going to start with this location. So I'm going to come over here in my drawing editor and try to move over somewhere where maybe we'll have enough room to fit this whole thing on here. And so I'll start drawing right here. So I'll left click to start my line, and right now I've got my dynamic inputs turned on. That's what you see, the numbers that are highlighted there with the distance and the angle. And there's another important tool that I want to turn on. It's called ortho mode. Ortho mode creates horizontal and vertical lines only, so it's real easy to draw horizontal and vertical lines. So all I have to do is point my cursor to the left and type how far or how long I want that line to be. So I'm looking at the dimensions here. This is 101 and this is 75. So the difference between 101 and 75 is 26. So I type in 26 and press the enter key. Now I want to move down with my line, so I point my cursor downward, and I determine the distance of this line to be 92 minus 40, which is 52. And now I want to go to the left with my line, so I point my cursor to the left, and the distance here is given as 75. This time I want to go up, so I point my cursor upward, and the distance again is given as 92. And I'm going straight to the right. The distance is 116. Type 116, press enter. And in this case I'm going straight down 25. So I point downward, type 25, and then I'm going to use my endpoint object snap. I'm finished drawing my line now, so I'm going to press the enter key to complete the line command. The next thing I need to do is add these holes, or these circles. A couple of things I want to point out about these circles. This dimension is given as a diameter. This says diameter 30. So the symbol with the circle with the line through it represents diameter. Circles are defined as diameters. Sometimes arcs are defined as radius. So if this were to be a radius, you would see the letter R in front of the number. So this smaller hole has a diameter of 20. And both are over 25 and up 25. Now when you're just starting out with AutoCAD, it's absolutely necessary in most cases to draw some construction lines to help you find out where to place things. Construction lines are a very easy way to go, and that way you can use the endpoints of those lines to locate the centers of these holes in this case. So I'm going to draw a line starting at the corner that goes over to the right 25 and up 25, and then I'm going to place this hole on the endpoint of that line. So I'm going to use, instead of a regular line, I'm going to use a polyline just because they're a little bit easier to erase. They behave exactly the same way as lines, except it's all tied together as one part. So I pick the polyline tool. I start my line in this corner, and again I'm paying close attention to make sure that I'm using my object snaps. You see the object snap symbol there, the greenish color square. I move the cursor to the right. I type 25. Move the cursor up, I type 25 and enter. I'm finished drawing my polyline, so I press the enter key to stop. The next thing I want to do is add the circle at the end of this line. So I go to the circle tool. AutoCAD asks me to specify the center point of the circle, so always watch what's going on in your command line. So the center point will be the end point of this line. Again, I see my object snap. Left click to start the circle there. AutoCAD is now asking me to specify the radius. And that's fine, I could specify the radius. The radius is always half the diameter, but I could also switch the option of the circle to diameter. So you see the word diameter in the brackets, that means that's an option. Different ways you can access the option. You could type letter D and press enter. You can left click it right here where I'm highlighting, or you can right mouse click and select diameter off the context menu. So I set the option to diameter, and now I type in 30 for the diameter of 30. I'm going to repeat the process up here in the upper left corner. I'm going to draw a polyline. Start it in the corner. Point my cursor over to the right, 25. Move my cursor down, 25. Stop my polyline command by pressing the enter key. And I go to the circle tool. AutoCAD asks me where I want the center point of the circle. I want it on the end point of the line I just created. So I left click there after I see my endpoint symbol. And again, I'm going to access the diameter option of the circle. And the diameter is 20 millimeters. Now I need to go back and erase my construction lines. So always remember to go back and erase your construction lines. And notice how I can just pick on this one part, and we're selecting these other legs also, which that's the benefit of using a polyline. So now we've completed this part, and it took a few minutes, and it was a lot easier than having to enter in x, y values or some distance less than some angle. So AutoCAD, has another way to do things most of the time. So you want to find the method that makes you the most efficient. As always, if you have any questions, give me a call or send me an email. Thanks.